Now, before I go into my shortlist and let you know which players I feel are needed at the club to strengthen those positions, I'm going to let you know my criteria so you understand why I picked these players to strengthen Man United in this transfer window. So my criteria goes like this. Number one is a connection/affinity to the club. They have to be connected somehow. So either have played for us at academy level, they have national teammate within United, or have played for the manager at another club, have a connection to someone at the board, maybe someone in Ineos was part of another club and has seen this player develop, have a connection or have an affinity, meaning they supported United as a kid. They love United as a club. They genuinely see United as the pinnacle of their career, not just a stepping stone to another club and not just a paycheck. That's what I mean by a connection or an affinity to the club. That's number one for me. Number two is availability. I don't want no more injury-prone players, no more Mason Mounts. I need players that are fit, ready, available for a long, hard season, multiple competitions. Availability for me and durability as well. So this is why players like that I appreciate, like Adam Wharton, I didn't put in my shortlist. Look, I'm giving you a little sneak peek now. See, Adam Wharton, for me, although I love his skill set, he's not durable. He's got decent availability, but he's a type of player similar to Onana at Aston Villa. If they get a knock within a game and you see them go down and the medical team gets called on, more often than not, they don't get up and get on with the game. They're hobbling off and then you don't see them for the next couple of games. This is exactly what happened with England as well. When he got picked for the England team, for the England squad, alongside Anderson, he was actually in pole position to start that game. But he got injured, got a knock in training, ended up not playing. Anderson took his chance and hasn't looked back. So availability. Next is mentality. We've seen a lot of talented players come to this club and not have the mentality to wear the shirt, to thrive within the shirt, despite having the ability. So mentality is definitely a big one. You need to be able to perform at the highest stage. Last but not least is a realistic price. Gone are the days of this United tax stuff. That's one thing Ineos have been good at, or they're in the middle of trying to squash that, trying to eradicate that. United tax, realistic prices, and also realistic wages. Gone are the days of this handing out big wages to anyone that we sign. Let's get realistic with the price tags, and more importantly for me, realistic with the wages. So that's my criteria. So keep that in mind when you hear my shortlist. With my shortlist, I'm going to start with the goalkeepers. So for me, the backup goalkeeper on my list, I've got Vitek. He's come through the academy. He's on loan at Bristol. I feel like bring him back, let him know that he's going to be competition instead of backup, competition for Le Mans. If Le Mans gets injured or a dip in form, he'll be starting and he'll also be starting the cup competitions. That way, we don't need to waste money on a transfer fee for another keeper. And we've got a talented keeper that's already under our books. Why not use him? If he don't want to go for that and he wants to be sold and be a starting keeper, fair enough, we should go for Kova. He's in another academy product and actually was ahead of Vitek. He's actually naturally more talented than Vitek and then got sold. He went on to, I don't know if it was PSV first. Yeah, I think it was PSV he went first. Then he ended up at Bayer Leverkusen. Very talented goalkeeper, probably the most talented keeper to come through our academy since Henderson. So he was actually ahead of Vitek. So if Vitek doesn't want to stay and play that role, I say we bring back Kova. Well, we did have a buyback option in his contract when we sold him. It's probably expired now, but I'm pretty sure we could get him back for a decent price. If neither of those keepers are available, let's go and get an experienced keeper, preferably on a free, just for backup to Le Mans. So next, I'm going to go to fullback. I'm going to work my way. Next, we're going to go to fullback. So my ideal fullback is a little bit far-fetched, but hear me out. Coyote from Brentford. He's 21, contract to 2030. He's on 50k a week. And the reason why I've put him in this list, I know you're thinking we're never going to get Coyote. He's just signed for Brentford. They've had an outstanding season and whatnot, Europe. But there's reports from Italy that he's actually got a 45 million release clause. Now, it's not the most credible source, but if this is true, go and get him. 45 million. Coyote is a modern fullback, like athletic, quick, strong, decent end product, brilliant at set pieces with that long throw, good in the air, good in the defensive phase, good in the attacking phase. Like, he's got the attribute that you want in a modern fullback. And straight away, putting Coyote into a four with him, whether it's De Ligt, Maguire, Lenny Euro at right centre-back, whether it's Aiden Heaven or Martinez left centre-back, whether it's Luke Shaw or Dogu at left-back, straight away that back four is upgraded. So that's my dream fullback, is the right-back Coyote. But if we can't get him, we have a look at Porro. Now, if he got relegated, it would be green light for Porro. But, you know, the new manager, De Zerbi, so, but we test the waters because his contract does end in 2027. He's 26. 85k a week that he's on, reportedly going for 30 to 40 million. We could have a look at that. Now, Porro has got the one thing that we lack at fullback. Brilliant end product. When we're talking about end product, when we're talking about crosses, the thing that Sesko feeds off, I'd say only Pascal Gross, Bruno Fernandes, maybe a Reece. Can't really think of anyone that's maybe a Duke from West Ham. They're probably only the 4 players that I can think of that are similar level or just above him when it comes to his end product, when it comes to his crossing ability. Porro, brilliant player in possession, decent in the defensive. If we can go and get him, that would definitely be an upgrade back for us at right back. Last but not least, Nico Williams from Nottingham Forest. He's 25, contract runs till 2029. He's on 65k a week, reportedly available for 40 to 50 million. Now, why this is so intriguing is he can actually cover both sides. Predominantly, he actually plays as a left back for Nottingham Forest, but he's obviously naturally right-footed, so he's comfortable as a right back also. He offers a lot going forward, a lot of goals, a lot of assists. When I see him play, his confidence is just on another level. Like, he probably takes more shots, probably hits the target within a game more than some attacking players. Like, as an attacking output, as attacking threat, he's right up there with the top fullbacks in the Premiership. So yeah, Nico Williams, and like I said, he covers both sides, left back and right back. If we're moving on to the left backs, while we're on the fullback conversation, for me, left back, MLS. That's if he's still available. Because before, you know, the last few game season, it was put out by the club, that by Arsenal, that they're looking to recoup 100 million from MLS and Ethan Nwaneri. So if that's still a thing, let's have a look at Miles Lewis-Skelly. 19, contract to 2030, 45k a week. If they want to combine 100 million from MLS and Nwaneri, 60 to 70 million. Because I'm pretty sure they could get 30 for Ethan. So that'll be their 100 million right there. 60 to 70 million for MLS. And being he's 9, already Premiership proven, already done at international level, that's a steal. That's a steal. And can cover central midfield. That's a steal for me. Next on the list will be Lewis Hall. 21 years old, contract to 2029. He's on 45k a week. And reportedly we're looking at Anthony Gordon figures, 70 million to get him out of Newcastle. Originally, when I was seeing links to Lewis Hall, it was more, I felt like people were just seeing him as he'll be a great long-term resolution to our left situation. But of recent, we've seen, especially since he didn't get picked for the England squad, I don't think he's happy. I think he's feeling like Eddie Howe dropping him towards the end of the season for Dan Burn is partly the reason why he isn't picked for the England squad. So we could test the waters there. 70 million, we can test the waters with, our opening 60 million bid and see how that goes. But left back, I feel like he'd be the most long replacement because he's an out-and-out left back and he's good in both phases. He's good in a defensive phase. He's good at one-on-one duels. Switch off at times, but he's young. But as a one-on-one defensive duel, he's very good. Going forward, he's very good. Neat and tidy on the ball. He's got a lot of potential, a lot of room to improve. So I feel like he's the ideal left back if we're talking out and out left backs. Because we have Dorgu who's good going forward. We have Luke Shaw who's steady defensively. But then we have a player in Lewis Hall that we could bring in who's good in all phases of the game. Moving on, if we can't get any of those, let's have a look at Truffert. Obviously, the manager's just left Bournemouth. There's had a brilliant season, but the manager's left. He's 24, contract to 2030. He's only on 35k a week. He's only on 35k a week. A 10% sell-on fee from his previous club. So you have to bear that in mind, because whatever bid United put forward for him, Bournemouth are going to want to top it up, add a little bit on top, because they know they have to give 10% of that transfer fee to his previous club. But Truffert, well, again, like Lewis Hall, he's good in both phases. He's good defensively. I would say he's even better than Lewis Hall going forward. He's not as fancy, he's not as easy on the eye as Lewis Hall going forward, but his end product, if you watch the 90 minutes, his end product is actually more effective than Lewis Hall. So yeah, Truffert would be a good left back for Man United. Moving on to centre backs. I've only got two on my list. More like Van Heck, even the Crystal Palace centre back that isn't signing contract, said not signing an extension to his contract, the French guy, Lacroix. I was going to put them on the list as well, but they were going for, like, Lacroix, Crystal Palace want 50 million. Brighton just turned down 70 million for Heck. Like, what the heck? They turned down 70 million for Van Heck. It's crazy. I think in his last year of his contract as well. So I thought, let me not even put those on the list, because for me, centre-back is the least priority position that we need to be spending on. Or, do you know what I mean? So I've got Senesi on there. I know he's agreed personal terms with Spurs, but it's not signed, sealed. You know, he ain't, the move isn't over the line yet. So if we pin with a minute deal, better the terms, why not? Brilliant centre-back, left-footed, he's going for free, 28 years old. I know that's probably the reason why United hasn't looked at him, because he's 28. And, you know, right now we're living in the era of ageism. A lot of sporting directors and that, they've got ageism. If you're over 28 and up, you're not going to get looked at by a big, like, it's proper silly. I don't understand it. The guy's got 5 assists from centre-back, and he's defensively sound, good on the ball. He's not rapid, but he's not slow. Good in the air, good presence, communication, leadership. 5 assists from centre-back, guys. How many assists did Declan Rice get this season? 4, 5, maybe 6 in the Prem? 5 assists from centre-back. And he's available on a free. Currently on 50k. Go and get him. My second one is a bit controversial, only because I think people will think, who's that, or why should we send? But it's Crazy. But Crazy is a Wolverhampton centre-back, 26 years old, contract to 2029, 65k a week. He's on 45k, sorry. And he's got a release clause in his contract. Obviously a relegation release clause. And that release clause is 20 million. But with relegation release clauses, unless there's other clubs interested in the play, you can often bid under the release clause and still get him out of that. They've been relegated. So I think we should have a look at that. 20 million, we could put a little 50 million bid in, test the waters. Now, Crazy, he caught my eye because there was links between us and him whilst he was in Serie A. I think he was at Fiorentina before he made the move to Wolverhampton. And so I had a little look on him on YouTube, but I never saw him play live, just YouTube. Then obviously he joined Wolverhampton, and I've managed to see him in the Premiership, and he's a decent player. Left-footed, decent on the ball. He stands up when he's defending. He don't just... That's one thing I like about him. He's got good patience, stands up, intelligent defender. He's tall, good in the air, and he performed against us. That's what made me even take more notice of him. He performed very well against us. So yeah, he's a centre-back that we could add for depth. If we can't get to Nessie deal, we could look at him for depth. Left-footed. Yeah, I think he'll be a good depth signing. Moving on now, Casemiro replacements. Many. Now that's my number one midfielder to go and get. Many. I'm just hoping that the little fight with him and Valverde means that Mourinho or whoever comes in to manage Real Madrid has to choose between the pair, because I know Valverde's going nowhere. So if we're talking about Casemiro replacements and we're talking about defensive-minded midfielder, aerial ability, winning aerial duels, presence. That's Tchouaméni. He's good on the ball as well. He doesn't score as much goals as he should because he's got a brilliant shot on him. We see that with at international level when he put one past Pickford from 20 yards. So yeah, and the air, so he should score more from set pieces too. He plays good passes between the line. He's basically got everything Casemiro had apart from that goal threat. However, he does have the ability to score goals, and however, he's also got better athletic ability than Casemiro. So yeah, Tchouaméni, that Casemiro replacement. If we can't get him, obviously we look at Baleba. Wait, quickly, Tchouaméni, 26 years old to 2027/2028, 200k a week. Obviously there's reports 250, but 250 is if he hits all his bonuses within that week. Like his base rate is 200k a week. Yeah, Real Madrid quoted they want at least 70 million, even enter negotiations. Fair price, 70 million. Next list would be Baleba. Now, Baleba obviously agreed personal terms already. He's 22, contract to 2028. 12.5 grand a week. No wonder he agreed personal terms so quick. 12.5 grand a week. That's his wages. The only problem is the transfer fee. Now, for me, we shouldn't be paying anything over 70 million because we can always use Tchouaméni as the benchmark and say, hold on a minute. This is a world-class defensive midfielder, proven on every level, experienced, decorated. And he's going for 70 million. And he's contracted till 2027/28. So that will be the benchmark for me. You know, you can try and enter negotiations with Brighton for maybe, but I would not be going more than 70 million for. You will be saving in wages, which is maybe why Brighton's trying to hold out for more because they know you will be saving a lot of money in wages. He's on 12.5k a week. But yeah, Baleba is very athletic, covers a lot of ground, brilliant in the press, good defensive instincts, good on the ball. But me, that's where he needs to improve his game. It's how he progresses that forward. He wins the ball and more gives it to but this is why he will compliment Maino because he'll do work and then just give it to Maino simple and let Maino do the extra stuff. However, I feel like you have to have, we saw with Ugarte, that little doing the cleanup job ain't good enough. You got to have something about yourself as well. You got to be able to progress that ball forward as well. So that's the areas where he needs to improve. But Baleba's on the list. Baleba's on the list. Then who else we got? Obviously Fernandez, we're looking at 21, contract to 2030, 60k a week. West Ham want 80 million. They're relegated, so 80 million isn't, there's reports that we're going to enter negotiations with a 60 million bid. Like I said, you always can use Tchouaméni. That 70 million would be, should you be paying more than 70 million for a midfielder that's still unproven at the highest level and has just been relegated? So yeah, we negotiate from 60 and maximum 70 for me. But yeah, Fernandez will be an excellent addition. He's just an all-rounder. He's got good presence. He's obviously, there's the things that everyone sees, like he's good on ball, he's good in defensive situation, covers ground well and that, but he's got good presence, good aura. He's got passion. You see, like, even the smallest games mean a lot to him. And he reminds me a lot of a player that I admire who is Bruno Guimaraes. I wanted Bruno Guimaraes at United. I know they're not going to do it because it ages him, but we're not going to get Bruno Guimaraes. The miniature version of Bruno Guimaraes. The only thing he doesn't have that Bruno G has is Bruno G has a bit more presence. He's more taller. He's a bit more bigger. Bruno G just has that. He's probably what's Bruno G? 11, I don't know, 6 foot max, maybe between 5'10" and 6 foot, maybe 5'11", 6 foot. But he around like he's 6'3", 6'4". He's live presence, passionate, leadership ability. That's probably the little things that Fernandez hasn't got. Obviously, he's not going to grow to that size, but he will. I feel like with confidence, he could grow into that presence, into that stature of Bruno G. And also, Bruno G has a goal threat. Bruno G scores 7, 8, 9, 10 goals a season. 6, 7, 8, 9 assists a season. So that's also something that Mateus Fernandez needs to bring into his game. But yeah, that's the miniature Bruno G for me. I love to see him at the club. There's also a couple other midfielders I'd look at if those moves fall through. And that's Alex Scott, 22 years old, contract to 2028, 40k a week. 40k a week. Bournemouth, obviously, off the back of they're not going to let him go for cheap. They're looking at up one for him. But you test the waters, I say between, like I said, 60 to 70. That's the benchmark. That's the going rate for top midfielder right now. So anything over 70, unless you're proven at the highest level, world class, experienced, you're not worth it. Simple as. Yeah, those would be the midfielders that I'd look at. I would have said João Gomez as well, but it looks he's on his way to Atletico Madrid. It would have been a good Casemiro replacement as well for me. Moving on now, let's go to the left wingers. We got Njai, 26, contract to 2029, 45k a week, 60 to 70 million. We know what Everton are like. They like to hold out for the highest money. So it will be hard to negotiate with them. But, with Njai, we know he's got the affinity club that we basically know that he wants to come to United. For me, personally, I feel like the out-and-out left winger. I feel like of the inverted wingers, I would take Njai if we're only going to go for an inverted winger, I would take Njai because I feel like he goes both ways. Also do bar line and whipping crosses, but he does invert as well and like to play between the lines. However, I feel like for balance, we need an out-and-out left winger, preferably even left-footed, just for balance, because we've got Cunha there who's going to do the inverted thing, left 10. We need a balance now, so we need an out-and-out left winger, left-footed, bar line, down the line, and we need to play to our strengths. Now, our striker's biggest strength is in the air, so we need to play to that. We need to go down the bar line and whip crosses in to our striker. So yeah, I enjoy someone I'd take if we're only looking at inverted wingers on the left side. If not, I look at an out-and-out winger for me. Also on the list is Rafael Leao. Now, he's got a connection through Portuguese players at the club. He's also publicly said that, he would love to play for United. 26 years old, contract to 2028. 100k a week, 40 to 50 million AC Milan are looking for. Again, a little bit dry, but he's a winger that's more of a goal-scoring winger than a winger that's trying to provide for the striker. He's more of a selfish winger. You know what I mean? Where this is why I said if wingers, I'll go for Njai, because he's not a selfish winger. He is trying to provide for his striker majority of the time. Where players like Rafael Leao, brilliant player, but he's more of a selfish winger. That in Mbumo. I don't feel like we need another one of those, but the price is a good price. It is a good opportunity where he's at right now, contract-wise, and with his ability and with the connection to the other Portuguese, his affinity to the club, it's a good opportunity. So, we can't be blind to it. For me, though, my left winger, if we don't get a left back, my left winger would be from Bournemouth. And it's not Ryan. It's 10 years old, contract to 2029, 65k a week. And he's reportedly going to cost £40 million. Now, Tavernier's not got as much ability as Njai or Rafael Leao. But if we're talking a out-and-out winger, left-footed, good crosser of the ball, can score goals, but also likes to get down the line and whip crosses in, good at set pieces, good in the press as well defensively, and would absolutely, I feel like, he won't take it for granted coming to United. He will come to United and work his socks off. And he'll just be an excellent balance to the squad, an excellent balance to Cunha, who's a completely different player to Tavernier. I feel like Cunha's more similar to Njai, more similar to Leao. I feel like that'll be the perfect signing. That's right now for left wing. Right, now moving on to the Bruno Fernandes replacement, the Cam. I'm looking at 3 players. First one is the player that I feel will suit the role the best, and that's Morgan Gibbs-White. 26 years old, contract to 2028, 110k a week. Reportedly, transfer fee set at 60 to 75 million. Now, if we're talking out and out Bruno like-for-like replacement, this is the guy. Not just on the field, but also off pitch. You see the passion that he has. You see him coaching people through the games. You hear about him off the pitch, what he's like. You hear people talk in interviews, what he's like in and around the club. You kind of see, you can get when you see how his teammate respond to him and listen to him and look to him in times of need when they need leadership. I feel like Morgan Gibbs-White is a good egg, talented on the pitch. His talent speaks for itself, but he's also a good egg. You see him, he's broke his face and he's straight back. I talk about availability and durability. The guy broke his whole face and he's straight back in Europe for Nottingham. Back with a face mask in the league for Nottingham Forest, scoring goals past us. What he gives him in now. Let him learn for a year from Bruno. Not so much ability-wise. You don't need to learn from Bruno ability-wise, although you can always learn. I mean more how Bruno, let him see how Bruno operates around the club. Let him see the shoes that he's about to fill. So yeah, Morgan Gibbs-White. Second option would be Morgan, years old, contract to 2031. He's on 120k a week. Reportedly, Aston Villa are saying 80 million just to enter negotiations. I'll say about 80 to 90 million you're looking at to get him out of Aston Villa. Now, obviously, he's played at Middlesbrough under Michael Carrick, so he has that connection to the club. He can play both. He can play all the way along the line. He can play as a cam. I like him off the left wing as well. He can play up front. He can play right wing. So yeah, he's very versatile. Good age, great athletic ability. We know the strengths of Morgan Rogers, but that connection is key. That connection with him and Michael Carrick is key. So yeah, that's what I'd look at. And then last one, a pretty far-fetched one, but I'd look at tweak the formation a bit. And if you look at for over 90 minutes, he often plays as a 10, or not so much a 10, but a kind of supported striker. And then when Bournemouth are out of possession, he drops into the 10 position and does his defensive work. So if we're looking at a Bruno replacement, someone that's not an out and like for like replacement, but could slightly replicate the output of Bruno, because Krupi will bag you goals. He will get you assists, but he'll get you more goals. If you're looking at that little position, if you see how Carrick plays with Bruno, it almost turns into a 4-4-2 when we're out of possession. So it's perfect for Krupi. Perfect for Krupi. And if you look at the midfielders that we're targeting, they are very, how can I say it? Like, they're not tap-minded centre midfielders. They're very much number sixes that can, so a front two could operate with how Carrick does it. They both pin when we lose the ball, but we can have one dropping in as well. That's Krupi. So yeah, he's 19, contract to 2030, 20k a week. I don't know, I reckon 70 up to 100 million to get him out of Bournemouth. But yeah, me personally, I wouldn't go past, I'll use Morgan Rogers as the benchmark. Wouldn't go past Morgan Rogers' money to get him out of Bournemouth. But yeah, I feel like he could score a lot of goals at United. There's a lot of room to improve. And also, he could cover two positions. You're now getting a Bruno replacement, and getting someone that can fill in for Sesko if he's injured or dip in form. You're getting someone that can play and fill in for Sesko too. All right, last but not least, on the list, we're going to look at the striker position. Now, my dream one, bit far-fetched, but there have been, a few links to it. It's Harry Kane, of course. 32 years old, 2027, 400k a week. Wow. There was a 57 million release clause in his contract that's expired now. But I don't feel they have to pay much more to get him out of Bayern Munich, if he wants out of Bayern Munich. But then when you think about the record, the goal-scoring record that he was chasing in England, Alan Shearer's record, you could tempt him back to the Premier League with a move to United. The way we're on this upward trajectory, you could tempt him back to the Premier League. Do you know what I mean? To chase that record. And if he's available, that's someone you have to go and get. You have to go and get. So yeah, Harry Kane, that's my dream striker signing. For Sesko to learn off of Harry Kane, imagine that. Imagine that. Be Ramos, that Portuguese connection again. So contract on 100k a week. Want 30 to 40 million as a transfer fee. Willing to do a loan. Now that's why I've got him next on this, because for me, a loan would be perfect. Then we could spend more money elsewhere. You loan him for a season. If he does well, you can buy him. If he don't do well, he goes back or he goes elsewhere. So I feel like we can utilize that loan system, which we don't really utilize as United. We don't really, as a club, we don't really utilize the loan system. But in this case for Ramos, I think it would be perfect. Next on the list is Mateta. Obviously, Prem proven, 28 years old, contract to 2027, is on 50k a week. And considering that AC Milan agreed a deal with Palace for 30 million, was it pounds or euros? I can't remember if it was pounds or euros. Considering that, I feel like 25 million to get him out of Palace in his last year. Why not? Prem proven. I know he's 28, cool, but he's Prem proven. 25 million. You ain't losing much money off the back end. So yeah, and then obviously I'm gonna mention Vlahovic because he's going on a free. There's been links with him to the club, but he's one that I wouldn't want to look at. For me, he's not one that I don't feel like I could learn a lot off of him. He's not Prem proven, and he's demanding 260k from Juventus to sign a new deal. For me, he's a good player. And if there was a connection and affinity to the club, then cool. But I feel like if he comes to United, I think it would be for the right reasons. But there have been links to him, so I'll mention. My outside small chance. And I said Harry Kane would be my perfect striker signing. But if I'm talking long term, my overall perfect guy for the job. This guy is a Man United striker of old. Like Alex days, he would have went and dropped the big bag over in Turkey to get this guy. Yeah, that's a little clue there, over in Turkey. Victor Osimhen, 27 years, contract to 2029. He's on 325k a week. They're saying 75 million just to enter the negotiations. Yeah, so I say 75 to 100. But considering his wages, I feel like if you enter the negotiations at 75, I don't feel like you have to go much past the 80 million mark to get him out, because that will be relieving of those big wages too. Yeah, Victor Osimhen, listen, speaks for himself. I feel like he's just he'll be the new Andy Cole at Man United. He'll be the new Andy Cole. Top striker. Very underrated. For me, you can't name 5 better strikers right now, this current day and age, better than Victor Osimhen. So yeah, that says it all. And for Sesko to learn off of someone like that, brilliant. That's my list. That's my short list. That's my criteria. That's the areas I feel like United need to strengthen. That's my Man United summer overhaul. Let me know what you think in the comments. Just said it.